I have been a rebellious child since I was young. My family was not bad when I was young, but I had the troubles of a rich family. A broken family, a lonely me. When I was 6 years old, my family had a change. The money my parents worked hard for was taken away by my father's good friend. My parents divorced, and I followed my mother and changed her last name. So I have a very strange temper. Rather than saying it's strange, I'm just a weird person. I am a loner by nature, don't like to make friends, and I believe that friends are to be used and betrayed. When I was 9 years old, I became sensible. My mother was often not at home. I cooked, washed clothes, did housework, and went to class by myself. My grades were always good, but no parents ever came to the parent-teacher meeting. The teacher asked me several times, and I could only say that I didn't know if my mother could come. When I was 11 years old, I found a disc of porn in the closet. I was very curious at that time, but I didn't dare to watch it alone, so I called my cousin. He was 16 that year. After watching it, he felt an impulse in his lower abdomen. My cousin also looked at me with a dazed look, and then asked me if I wanted to try it. I was so excited that I said yes. That was my first time. We have maintained this kind of relationship since then. I didn't know what gay was at that time, and I didn't know I liked boys. I looked okay, so there were many girls chasing me in school. I was the kind of person who didn't know how to refuse and was afraid of hurting their hearts. So as long as someone chased me, I agreed, dated them, and tried to be a good boyfriend. When I was in the 6th grade of elementary school and junior high school, my girlfriend and I had very little time together. We usually passed notes during class. On weekends, I would carefully select gifts for my girlfriend after returning home. Occasionally, we would stroll along the river together. It was very fresh and natural, and my heart was pounding. Later, my good friend sent me a love letter from my girlfriend. I was so happy that I was stunned after opening it and reading it. It turned out that in the 2 pages of the love letter, every sentence was my girlfriend's love for my good friend. It was very painful at that time. I cried on the spot and felt dizzy. That night, I had a dream about my good friend, but in the dream, we were not rivals in love, but kissed and made love like lovers. I was 13 years old that year. My family situation improved a little bit with the efforts of my mother. My mother also satisfied me in various ways. The best clothes, the best stationery, the best toys, whatever I wanted could be bought. When I was 14 years old, I witnessed the process of my mother making love with the uncle next door. Panting and moaning were right next to my ears. My mother thought I was asleep. After she sent the uncle away and found that I was awake, she asked me if it was okay to let Uncle Lee be your father. I said no. Although I know that my mother has always had a boyfriend, I also know that she has never married in order to prevent me from being wronged. That year I had a younger sister. Love on the internet. That year, I was addicted to the internet. I spent all day on the computer watching anime, playing games, and surfing the internet. The first time I came into contact with the circle was when I saw a person in a forum. He wrote that he was looking for a lesbian marriage and the conditions were good. He was a retired Air Force. Below was QQ and a blog. I clicked on his blog and found out that his name was Xiaoyaro. I imitated Zhao in The Legend of Sword and Fairy and called him Brother Xiaoyaro. He told me his story. He met my G in the army. They were in the same squad of the recruit company and had a good relationship. Later, they gradually got together. But when he was discharged from the army, my G said to him, "I love you, but we are not right. I hope you and I can get on the right track, get married and have children." Then I saw his post, looking for a lesbian marriage. At that time, I thought that the love between two men was like smoking, just for fun. I naively thought that I would not fall into it. I wanted to pursue Xiaoyaro, but I didn't know anything and couldn't do anything. I found another man on the internet, 25 years old, named Zhong Li, and we agreed to meet at the bridge. Finally I saw him, with a big belly and a short stature. I also met his friends, the somewhat effeminate Wang Kai and the very manly Lala Weiwei. That night I went to Zhong Li's house and we made love all night. I only felt pain, and then I realized that my cousin and I had never made it to the end. The next day I went home, and my mother asked me why I hadn't come back all night and why I hadn't brought my phone. I said I was tired and went upstairs to rest. I had diarrhea all day that day. I wrote a diary saying that I like men and showed it to my mother. I told my cousin that I like men, and my cousin said that if you like men, go for it, and love is the same. After reading my diary, my mother obviously didn't have any fluctuations and didn't say anything to me. I cut off contact with Zhong Li. I took Zhong Li as a teacher and used my virginity as tuition. 2 weeks after the start of the second year of junior high school, my mother drove to the school to pick me up and said she would take me to meet someone. Love in the army. The car stopped downstairs of the Armed Forces Department. My mother took the household registration that was changed to 5 years older to the Minister of Armed Forces and asked him to introduce me to the company commander of the new recruit company, Captain Meng. Captain Meng asked my mother how old I was. My mother said 15 years old. The household registration was changed to a higher age. That night, Captain Meng had dinner with us. I ate my 15th birthday cake. Then the next day, I went to Yinchuan, Ningxia with Captain Meng to start my military life. This was my mother's method. She thought I lacked masculinity and that it might be better to go to the military camp for some experience. But she didn't expect that I would find myself a complete gay after I went to the army. There I had the same experience as Xiaoyaro and fell in love with a comrade in arms in the class. His name was Guo Haoren. The first time I met him was when I was scolded by the squad leader. He smiled mischievously and spoke for me, and was finally beaten by the squad leader. Because Captain Meng had told me that I was young, everyone should take care of me and do my best in training and physical fitness. But I don't give in. I can do anything that others can do. The night when the new recruits were assigned to the company, the whole class celebrated and everyone drank a lot. My bed was next to Guo Haoren's. We were originally single beds, but because we were next to each other, we slept in a double bed. After drinking, I was excited and couldn't sleep on the bed, looking at the ceiling. At this time, Guo Haoren came over, looked at me and said, "You have beautiful eyes." My face was slightly red. He then said, "Can I kiss you?" Then, we kissed passionately. The alcohol ignited the desire, and we released the desire in each other's hands. There is a saying that is very true: drunken sex is two people who originally wanted to do it and drink a little wine as a cover. The next day, I was going to the company. Guo Haran said to me, "I hope I can forget last night because he was drunk." I said, "Okay." Although my heart hurt. God didn't have eyes and sent us to the same company, but he was in the 5th class and I was in the 6th class. I avoided him every day: gathering, training, eating, and entertainment. I won't go anywhere where he is. I will turn around and leave as soon as I see him. One day after training, I went to the toilet. I don't like urinals, so I always go to the big toilet. I thought there was no need to close the door when I urinate. I just unzipped my pants and heard someone coming in. I thought it was crowded outside and I was in a hurry to relieve myself, so I didn't care. After I finished relieving myself, I found out it was Guo Haran. He looked at me and asked me why I was avoiding him. I said, "You said you hope everything will return to its original position. You are you, I am me." He didn't say anything, paused for 2 seconds, pressed me against the wall, kissed me and said, "You are a goblin, I can't forget you, my mind is full of you, and I found you avoiding me. Do you know how uncomfortable I am?" I was scared by everything that happened suddenly, and slowly shed tears of joy. It turned out that he also liked me. Since then, we have been together. We fight and play every day. He won't let me suffer any grievances. If someone bullies me, he will definitely be there to help me. I remember one time, I accidentally bumped into a deputy squad leader in a row. I was young and hot-tempered at that time, so I didn't apologize and was slapped. Fortunately, I didn't care. I don't know where Guo Haran heard that I was slapped. That night, he took a few fellow villagers to beat up the deputy squad leader. Before leaving, the deputy squad leader said, "Why are you standing up for him? Why doesn't he do it himself?" Guo Haran was furious and hit him on the head with a brick. The deputy squad leader was hospitalized and Guo Haran was put in solitary confinement. Neither of them gave me up. The company commander and the instructor were afraid that it would be a big deal if it got out, so they suppressed it in the company. No one was allowed to tell anyone, let alone the battalion commander. Guo Haran was just asked to reflect for a week, write a 100,000-word self-examination, and copy the entire disciplinary regulations 100 times. That time I knew that Guo Haran thought I was very important. Since then, our relationship has become better. We secretly held hands during the assembly. The squad leader of the 5th squad was seconded to perform a mission, and the people of the 5th squad were equally divided into each class. Guo Haran swapped with the person assigned to our class and came to our class. He also changed beds with the person next to me. We slept in a double bed again. At night, we hugged, held hands, and kissed under the quilt. Guo Haran was reviewing because he wanted to enter the military academy. In order to have time with him, I also submitted my intention. Every day, we had 4 hours to review in the reading room. That time, while we were reviewing, his hands were not honest and touched my underwear. Later, we had the first relationship in the reading room after such a long relationship. The lubricant and condoms bought by Guo Haran were placed in my wash bag. When checking the housekeeping hygiene again, the platoon leader saw the condoms and helped me put them away. There was a hint of intention in his eyes that I could not understand. The company commander thought the lubricant was hand cream and didn't look at it. After the class, a platoon leader called me over and gave me the condom, saying that I should keep it well next time so that I wouldn't be caught. I said yes. One weekend, Guo Haoran and I went out together and bought a mobile phone each. The next day, my phone was stolen. He gave me his and asked me to use it first. At night, the phone vibrated and the company commander found it. Finally, I was called to attend a 2-hour class. After returning, Guo Haoran said, "It's okay, I'll buy it next time, but I know that the phone is his 5-month salary." Guo Haoran's parents came and told the leader that they wanted him to take the military academy entrance exam. They said they were afraid that he would not pass the exam and wanted him to have more time to review. The company commander transferred Guo Haoran to the logistics class because the logistics class did not have to do exercises and had plenty of time. That night, after I helped him move his things, he saw that I looked unhappy and said to me, "It's okay, we are still very close." But I didn't expect that he would break up with me the next day. He said it was wrong, we just hadn't vented for a long time, he wanted to review with peace of mind and not let his parents down. I told him I understood. Then he went to the division to review, there were special teachers teaching, and he would do test questions, although it was very close to the company, but I never went to see him once. He ran back several times, went to the warehouse to get things, and by the way, to see his classmates. I was avoiding him. By chance, the platoon leader caught my kiss. The platoon leader saw that I was lost all day, so he said to me, "How come you lost your soul when Guo Haoran left?" After I heard it, I suddenly felt that my body was drained and fell to the ground. The platoon leader hurried to catch me. I saw him in a daze, thinking it was Guo Haoran, so I said to him, "I miss you so much." Then I kissed him. The platoon leader was stunned for a moment and then responded to me fiercely. That night I slept in his dormitory all night, naked and hugging him. The next day, I woke up and found myself hugging the platoon leader naked. I understood. I got up quietly to put on my clothes and accidentally bumped into the platoon leader. He woke up and said, "You're awake. Let's sleep a little longer." I was busy until 4 o'clock last night and there are no classes today. I said to him, "Platoon leader, I don't remember anything yesterday. I want to leave." From then on, I avoided the platoon leader every day, just like I avoided Guo Haoran before. Once it was my turn to call the roll individually, the platoon leader said to my squad leader, "Call me over for a while." I couldn't refuse, so I went over. I was taken to his dormitory. As soon as I entered the door, he hugged me, kissed me, and asked me why I was avoiding him. I said, "It's impossible for us, I have someone in my heart." He asked me if I was Guo Haoran. I said yes. Then he said, "Then why do you still provoke me and give me hope? You know I like you." I could only say sorry to him, and then I left. At this moment, I was thinking, Guo Haoran, why do you provoke me? You know I like you. Guo Haoran was admitted to the military academy without a doubt, and he ranked second in the division. After he left, the platoon leader comforted me several times and drank with me. Later, he gradually stopped coming inside when he saw me. There was still 2 months before I was discharged from the army. I had changed, became sunny, and my smile was very contagious. I met my comrades in the whole company and integrated into the collective life of the military camp. The platoon leader also said that I had changed and he didn't recognize me. I told him that I was still me. The time for discharge had come. The company commander hoped that I could stay, and so did the platoon leader. I chose to discharge and go home. The scene when I was discharged was very sad. The feeling of separation, I cried several times. After others cried, I was slow to react. Later. After I got home, I found that I had a younger brother. My fathers and my parents remarried. My mother said to me, "I hope you can get married." I found a very sensible one in the store. I said to my mother, "You know I like men." My mother said to me, "Don't say it, your father will beat you if he knows." I told my mother that the man didn't want you at first, but now we have money and is back. He's my dad. What else did he do except leave me alone? My mother slapped me in the face. We talked all night that night. My mother said that if we don't get married, our family will move to Shanghai and leave the house to you. We don't want you anymore. I was 17 that day. I married the salesperson in my family store, who was 2 years older than me. She asked me if I loved her, and I told her that I didn't hate her. 1 month after the marriage, something happened at home. The partner cheated my mother of all her money and spread the word that my mother was a liar. In order not to implicate my father, my mother divorced my father. Later, my mother committed suicide, leaving my younger brother and sister behind. After knowing the truth, my father couldn't think straight, and one day when he was drunk, he got into a car accident and followed my mother. I divorced my ex-wife. I told her that I like men. I left the city with my younger brother and sister. I lost my house, my parents, and my home. After arriving in the new city, I worked hard to give my younger brother and sister a good environment. During this period, I dated a friend, but his private life was terrible. According to incomplete statistics, he cheated on me 20 times when he was with me. He also told me that he was with others for his career and only wanted to be with me because he was with me. After breaking up, I met my current girlfriend, a senior rotten girl. She introduced a boyfriend to me, but she regretted it and said to me, "Be with me, I will help you take care of the baby, and I will leave when you meet your love." Later, we started a life of fake lovers and real girlfriends. My colleagues at work all know that I'm gay, and they are surprised to hear that we are together. My aunt also knows that I am gay, but she is still very happy to know that I have a girlfriend. Maybe I was hurt too much by love. I always think that it is enough to raise the baby. I don't want to fall in love. There is no extra time. I get up to send the baby to school, eat, get off work, and pick up the baby home. At night, I play games with the baby and then go to bed. I think life is very fulfilling. John Lee came out to his parents and did not marry Wei Wei. Xiaoyao works on the railway and is happy with her boyfriend every day. Guo Haoran has a girlfriend and the platoon leader has been transferred to Urumqi. I wish everyone all the best.